Hello and welcome everybody to today's live with the wonderful Miss D. I am Naomi, food and health coach, and I am so excited to be having this conversation with Miss D today. I'm waiting for her to join, and then we're gonna have this conversation started. This is a reschedule from about a month ago, and we're so excited that we finally got to reschedule this for all of you. So here we go. Can everybody hear me okay? I just want to know if these AirPods are working well. Give me a thumbs up. Hey, can you hear
Hi.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes. I always like to do a sound check because then you're like talking, nobody can hear what you're saying.
Same, same. How are we today?
Anyways, welcome. We're doing well. How are you doing?
It's been one of those days. As
Hmm.
I'm actually working remote for the next 3 days with a lot of training involved and a lot of prep work.
Hmm.
And you work a lot more from home than when you do in the office.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
it's so funny because, I know what we're going to talk about today, and I want to just dive right in. I made it a point to
Go
wake up
ahead.
and not deter away from my routine because I
Hmm.
said, I know how today's going to be crazy. I know how busy it's going to be. I don't want to take away from what makes me feel good. I don't want to take away from what's still like my wake up and still getting that energy in, right? And so I
Hmm.
made it a point to still wake up at a good time, made it a point to get my coffee ready, still with my scoop of collagen because that's my new thing. I could you not. It's like ever since I discovered it, and I discovered it with you. It's a whole new world because I say it time and time again. Like I still feel tired. There's still some days that I'm exhausted, but I don't feel drained.
Hmm.
I don't feel like those pains in my body. I don't feel, and I shared like I used to feel physical
Yeah.
pain in my body. I was questioning if at one point I would need surgery in my knees. I don't. There's still some joint things there going on, but I don't feel that pain or that ache that I once did a long time ago.
Hmm.
And it's insane how a routine makes a difference. Incorporating walking makes such a difference. Making it a point to get
Hmm.
up, go make a round. Like here, my house. You see my house. Go make a round, even if it's across the hall. Go downstairs or something. But I don't just want to sit there and not move because then I feel like it brings me down.
For sure.
And I was a little bit afraid of doing the next 3 days from home. I said, "Oh my God, how am I gonna do this? Like, am I gonna be good with it? Like, because I don't want it to set me back. I already have had a little bit of struggle with getting back into routine with the working out. And lo and behold, he walks right in on time. Rick is there. Like we've had a few things happen that I couldn't get back into the gym, so we've had that conversation with my son, like, no, this week we got to get back in the gym. We have to mobilize. Like, we're doing what we need to do, but we
Hmm.
need to now start strengthening all over again. And
Yeah.
it's been like, there was just so much like of a hesitation today and what the rest of the week is going to look like. But I
Hmm.
feel good. I feel
Okay.
really good. I do. So I'm excited to be here with you.
Oh, that's amazing. So thank you for jumping right in and sharing that. So for those, so Daisy, not only is she my friend and we're like, anytime we take a picture together, we seem to have the same facial expression, and it's hilarious because one time there was a collection of about 10 photos that we were at an event, and I was like, oh my God, every single facial expression was identical. And we were like, what were we looking at or thinking? Aside from
It's
that,
true. It's true. It's so true.
aside from that, Daisy was also my client, and we worked together for some time. And she really wanted to come on and share her story, so I was like, "Yes, let's do it." So there's like a little bit of friendship and coaching and all that involved here. Just full transparency for
Yeah.
everybody. But tell everybody where you started and why you wanted to share your journey.
Yes. So it started, oh my God, I think it was before my 33rd birthday, maybe like 32, I think. It started with just getting back in the gym, working out. After years of not stepping foot in, I almost reached 300 pounds. And my health was so debilitated. I could barely walk up the stairs without feeling pain in my body and not being able to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And I started working out. That's where I met Rick. And Rick has been mentor, coach, has been also trainer, has aligned me with another personal trainer who really instilled plenty in me.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost, I believe it was almost 80-pound mark, I believe, or 70 to 80-pound mark. It was something
Wow.
along those lines. It's been so long. 2017, there we go, 2017. Fast forward to pandemic time, pandemic hit,
Mm-hmm.
and it was not good. I worked in healthcare. I was considered frontline, but able to work from home. But there was a lot going on during that pandemic. I don't want to put all the stressors on the workplace. A lot personal. I lost several family members to COVID, and having to be that support system to family members who couldn't talk to the patients that were their loved ones. So we
Yeah.
were the ones stepping in and doing all this virtual stuff, talking to them, just giving them a place and a space. And I lost a lot of track of myself, and I gained back. It was between the 25 to 30-pound mark because it fluctuated. And
Mm-hmm.
I am happy to report that I did have my physical, and I have not exceeded that weight gain at all. And my numbers are still really
Yes.
good. And I want to give the recognition to that, because one thing's for sure, even though there were setbacks, Rick never stopped being the person that he has been to me, and to our like group of friends who he also trains. Again, it's that overlap, right? Like Rick has been able to always keep it real with us, regardless of the friendship. And working with you, you were able to do the same for me. And then it came the moment where I realized, hold on, like I know what Rick helps me out with, and I know Rick has given me all these pointers on just the appropriate meal eating and all this other stuff, but there's something bigger here. Like when I would have to meal prep, I wouldn't find enjoyment in it. I used to feel really lost in it. Going to read labels, I didn't know. I would just read organic, or I would just read no sugar or things like that, and you just think, oh, this is it, this is perfect, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And in discovering and partnering with you, there was a whole other world on labels and ingredients. And my greatest win in life, and I will share this before we like go even further, it is switching over to chickpea or red lentil pasta. It is reading the label in the back on the Rayo sauce, and just knowing how enjoyable things can be without feeling bloated, sick, uncomfortable, without having certain things happening to my body that
Mm-hmm.
it's like I would feel pain. I would feel pain, abdominal pain. And it was like, what the fuck? Like the
Yeah.
gallbladder was removed. What happened? Like, why am
Yeah.
I feeling this way? And it took more teaching with you and a lot of one-on-one coaching to realize two key things. One, the knowledge involved on a deeper look with
Mm-hmm.
food and health coaching. And then two, it was a lot of unpacking that I did with you.
Yes. Yes, girl.
With why I had such a disdain with the kitchen, why I did not like to cook, why
Mm-hmm.
didn't I like to enjoy being in front of a stove. There was unpacking, and I'll share it, just to highlight it. One, a lot of it was aligned to certain instances that happened in a relationship. And two, a lot of it was unpacking that I didn't even realize until one of our coaching sessions. And I actually had to go and talk to my therapist about that to
Yeah.
help me through that. And I realized that there was a specific meal that is so common in our Latino culture, which is like a pollo guisado. I
Mm-hmm.
can't stand it for the life of me. I do not like the smell. I aligned that smell so much with an incident that happened, and it involved me being a young child, not too young, almost nearing midway to teenage years, and having experienced something very uncomfortable, very sexual related with another person who was technically a child. And it happened all aligned while someone who was supposed to be a protector was in the kitchen all along. And I think where tracing it back, I assimilated the scent and the smell of that meal. to that moment. And I would not have discovered that had that not been for the unpacking that I did with the coaching with you, because I couldn't pinpoint it for years. And I still to this day, they're like, you don't like that? I'm like, no, that's not, I don't eat it. Still to this day, I refuse to eat it. But it made sense. When I finally unpacked it, it made sense. And it made so much sense that I've been able to work through that with a therapist, and being able to forgive without an apology, and being able to understand that the other person, not excusing the other person, but the other person was also a child, and being able to understand that it was mutual trauma. Like, that saying, the hurt people, but we weren't people, we were kids. And understanding different perspectives of what it looks like growing up in our culture, growing up in certain socioeconomic situations. It made me understand so much. And again, not excusing, but it was the piece of understanding for myself, for my knowledge, for my healing. I'm getting a little closer to tasting pollo guisado, a little different. I'm almost there. I've given someone a shot with it, but I try my best to no longer let that smell and let that moment take me away from trying new things in the kitchen. And today, I sent you a message, like, was it 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago or something like that? I cooked up a meal, and my son came over and he said, like, I really like watching you cook, Mom. Like, it's a good feeling. Like, you look happy. Like, I enjoy watching you do this. And the truth is, I don't cook. I don't have time to. Like, when I do, I do. But thank God I have a brother-in-law, and my sister's married to him, who cooks, like, for all of us. I appreciate that so much because he's right next door. So when I do, there's no more fear attached to it. I get creative. I'm comfortable with it. I get excited when I want to try new things, new flavors, when I just want to test it out. And I no longer feel like a failure when something doesn't work out, when we don't like it. We embrace even when we don't like something, and we figure out how to do it better the next time. And that's where my wellness journey is now. and it feels good to be able to share that and to be able to reflect back on it.
Girl, that was one, when you told me you wanted to talk about your story, this was a key point I asked you, would you want to talk about the kitchen? Because the more and more I work with women, I find what I told you about being kitchen hurt. And everybody has a different story as to why they don't want to be in there. And I get it. Like, there's so many layers, and I didn't realize that it was such a thing until woman after woman that I would work with, they would say, as soon as somebody tells me I don't like to cook, or I don't like to meal prep, or I don't like this, I already see it as a red flag that something happened to them in that environment that is preventing them from being in that space. And it's not just like, I understand cultural norms and being like, oh, I'm not gonna do this or I'm not gonna do that, but at the same time, I see the kitchen as a place where you learn certain skills to nourish yourself. And it doesn't have to be that you're cooking meals for other people, or that you don't like this, or but every time that somebody has said that to me, there's an underlying story as to why they have such strong feelings. And it was the same for you. And I'm like, we need to talk more about this, because I think it's assumed that it's because of gender norms, or like cultural norms, and then the story stops there. But it's not just that. It goes way deeper than that for people who have like this adverse reaction to not wanting to be in that space.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. And again, this is not something that we just know. It's bad enough that a lot of these situations we still don't talk about. Our elders still don't feel comfortable to talk about these things. Or if they do, they still take very cautious baby steps to the conversation, and they don't even dive deep into it. They want to make sure they just step right into it, and it's not so deep so that they could, step right back up and move backwards, right? And for me in that moment, like, I had to keep it all the way, and I always say this on my show, keep it all the way raw with you, because our coaching was one-on-one. to sit there and to really go through that coaching and to really unpack and to really discover what was the issue, what was holding me back from feeling comfortable. If I would have held back on that, if I would have not tapped in, I would not be where I am today, comfortable to the point that I am. I wouldn't be where I am today to be so knowledgeable to know, oh shit, I have 6 avocados there. It's already 2 days. Let me get creative with this. And not have to go back or trace back to certain things. There's certain things that happen. And I've never shared this story on the podcast, but we talked about it the other day, and I remember I was on duty to do something for my dad and my family who came over to visit. And because I didn't do it quick enough, I got reprimanded. And my cousins were running to tell my grandmother, and my grandmother was like, oh, hell no, he did not just like reprimand my granddaughter. And she went and like rectified my dad. But that moment when I remember that, and we were talking about it, me and my sister, we remember so much that is tied to the kitchen. We remember so many things that were not necessarily pleasant memories. To why we don't like making rice, to why we don't like washing dishes, to why we don't like being in the kitchen, period. And it does tie into the gender norm. It does, right? Because my dad was never asking my brothers to go make the coffee for him. My dad was never asking my brothers to go do this and the third. They were being asked to do other things that were more gender norm for them, right? But then there's other things that would not be even to my brothers or my sister or to anyone else, that we all have those unique situations and experiences that unless I tap into it, I'm never going to be able to come out of that. And I think that's what was so amazing with your coaching. For me, it's like people hear it at first, and when I say, oh, I have a friend and she has this business and this is what she does, and they're like, but like, what does she do for you? And I'm like, you're not understanding. This is and like I sit there and I'm like, you're not understanding. Like, pay attention. Like, food and health coaching is more than just let me do groceries for you or let me create a meal plan for you. It's deeper than that. It's so much deeper than that. Like, I used to be so judgmental of any cream cheese other than Philadelphia. And no, seriously, I was. You're growing up Latino, you see Channel 40, all you see is Philadelphia this, Philadelphia that, Philadelphia this, and that's the best. And I learned how to give a chance to the things you taught me. And here I am buying Kerrygold. Here I am buying this vegan cream cheese that's in BJ's. That's a 2-pack. It's so good. The label's perfect. And I'm enjoying it. And because I love the wellness that I'm at today, because I love trying things now, and I don't tie it up anymore to gender norms, to childhood traumas, to experiences from back then, to anything like that. I can sit there and I can convince my sister and say, hey, try this shit because it's so good. You won't even realize it's vegan. Like, just try it. It's so good. And it is. And I now realize that a lot of it was resentment towards myself. Guilt. Yes. Resentment towards myself, guilt, tied in with shame. At some point, I have to hold myself accountable for holding on to things. I have to accept what is and be able to learn from that so that I can continue to move forward. A lot of it is tied into our mental. Even when it comes to the food, even when it comes to the things we're eating, it's so tied into our mental. And I've had to learn how to accept a lot and realize a lot and hold myself accountable, because nobody else is going to do it. My mom is still going to tell me, Izita, that looks so good on you, or you should try this, and this is going to help you. And my mom is still going to do that. I'm not going to be able to change her. I can educate her, but I'm not going to be able to change her on things. I can explain to her what's important to me, but I won't be able to change her, right? What I can do is see if she buys into trying new things with me. What I can do is share with her my wins, my numbers. My physical is great. Yes, I have to be aware that my weight is still there, but my numbers are great. And that's a win in itself, but I have to hold myself accountable for my actions, my behavior, knowing what I know, the decisions that I'm making, and make those consciously. And it has been a full circle moment for me having this coaching with you. Also, the fact that if I ever have a question, I still turn to you.
Yes, I'm here, girl.
Yes, and I think that's one of the dopest parts of this experience is, like, I know we're friends, But I know when you have the coaching hat on, it's a coaching hat on, you know. And like when we had the gathering here, when we had the friends, it's like I need to. I know I need it for me, for my enjoyment, for my happiness. I like to get creative with the salads. That's my
Yeah.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Like we gotta get creative with the salads. And I'm hosting a couple of friends on Friday for Cinco de Mayo, right? And it's like,
Uh-huh.
okay, we're gonna do the tacos, but we gotta get creative with that too. We don't
Yeah.
need the double layer, tortillas. Like we gotta,
So I have a question for you
yes.
because you brought up quite a few things that I think would be super helpful for just anybody who's listening or watching the replay to feel seen or to
Mm,
feel like, is not just them, because there's three different things that you kind of spoke about. Number one, and I'll mention all three, and then you can start wherever you want. Number one
yeah.
is family. I know how close you are to your family. You just saw her face, y'all, everybody, right? So I know how close you are with your family, and you are the trailblazer, and that's often what happens with women who I coach. They're the trailblazers in the family of starting to create and explore and share generational health within their families. And I
Hmm.
know that that is a very sometimes intimidating and difficult position that to be in, because we're going against the grain. We're going against what I want to talk about also is habits and traditions that we've used for so long, like the Philadelphia cream cheese and like the Hellman's mayo. I know somebody mentioned mayo in the comments, and stuff that is so ingrained in us through marketing on the TV. And you're just used to these things. You don't think about it. You don't ever think that what is in here, how is it affecting my health? Because you're just used to it from
Yeah.
childhood.
Yeah.
That's two. And then three, the part of just really going deeper, because I try and explain as much as possible, especially here on IG or anywhere where my audience is, that it is more than just talking about food, more than just talking about exercise, because everybody really wants to make sustainable change. They want to stick
Hmm.
the same way you're saying, like, I'm keeping this top of mind, I'm doing it. And it's explaining, like, we're going to go deep. Like, all of these things are tied. You have major thoughts about things. Like, as soon as somebody tells you about a product that's a family, like, we've been using this forever, and then you're conflicted with the fact that maybe it's not so good for your health. And now you're bringing in the different product to the family. Like, start somewhere up in there, because they're all so good and all relatable.
Yeah. So with family, that's huge. And my sister's like in the chat, and I'm excited that she is because
Hey, Patty.
we talk about this all the time. My sister is actually the person who opened the door to do things a little bit different. I add a different touch here, or do things this way, or do things that way. And her and I have both struggled with being overweight, and we're also short women, right? And not that I'm putting out her business, but she had a reality check from her doctor, and she's actually lost a couple of pounds and has actually implemented some changes. And so when you have those couple of pounds being lost, but you're also implementing changes, you celebrate those and you congratulate those. And the reason why I highlight that with family is because the truth is, and no shade, listen, La Chato's my mother and I adore her to death. Like, she's everything and she's perfect in our eyes. The one thing about my mama, you tell her, oh, I lost 25. That's great. Now you got to lose 10 more. That's my mom,
Gotta love Hispanic mamas.
You got to love the Hispanic moms. But ultimately, when you look back to family, all we ever knew was every holiday, arroz con gandules, pernil, and like just some lettuce. But everybody, overflowed that plate with these two things. And so here's my first instance of breaking something, right? It's New
Mm.
Year's Eve. I said, we're not doing this typical shit. And my sister said, no, we're not. And we did something different. And we had the greens, we had the salad, we did steak per person and lobster. We cooked it different. we did something that we've never done before for a holiday that was so out of the norm and out of the tradition, because it's so easy to stab a pernil and season it. Let me tell you, the pernil be good in this house because my mom and
Yes,
Giovanni and Patty, they do it really good.
I've had it, y'all. It's good.
But it's like, when are we going to start? When do we start trying something new and something different and just give it a chance? And
Hmm.
the fact that my family embraced that, the fact that my family agreed, that was a win in itself. To do a lettuce that was not tomatoes, cucumbers, and lettuce, like the
Yeah,
salad, I mean, it was
yeah,
just
yeah.
beyond me. Like, we're
Hmm.
including fruits in these salads now. So we actually have a thing, Naomi, in the house, and I love it. I just want you to know how far this has spread.
Oh my
When
gosh.
I say something, my nephew and my sister go, "Is that Naomi approved?" And yes, this is the
No.
deal in this house. And that in itself, to even hear that embrace is amazing. You have people working out on their own, and by people we mean the youth. My son comes to the gym with me and is signing up to go to the gym with his friends too. My nephew, he's going to be 18. He has dropped almost 3 sizes in clothing because it makes him feel
Wow.
better, because it's his form of
Yeah.
therapy. And
Hmm.
because he knows he eats certain things that are not the best, but then he has to dedicate more to the working out. And for us, it's like, how fun is it to find a positive but also find an entertainment and breaking away from what we're used to. And
Hmm.
it's been a test with family to be able to do that. Sometimes they kind of look at us like, what are you doing? Oh, this is different, or it doesn't taste good. But you're not
Yeah.
gonna know until you try it. You're not gonna know
Hmm.
until we give it a shot. It's taken a lot of conversation to try new things. Just give it a shot. If you don't like it, you don't like it, but just try it. If you don't try it, you're never gonna know.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it's a huge win. Like, I think I had shared with you with my dad, the creamers, for his
Yes,
coffee.
the creamer. Yeah.
That was a big conversation we had. The fact that he even tried it was a win because he's diabetic. He had a health scare last September, and that was enough for him. My guy has lost how many pounds just by walking to and from his job. If you see him, you're like, holy shit, Daisy, he's lost so much weight. He has taken out certain things out of his daily that he would overdo between diet soda and coffee. Now it's decaf, no more soda. Now it's more water. There's so many changes that have already implemented, but I don't think that would have been possible without breaking away from not having certain important conversations and not
Yeah.
having those real life instances with your health, that
Hmm.
that that make you realize, what we're used to with our family for so many years is not working
Yeah.
anymore. It's
Hmm.
not. I think I covered that piece with the family. What was the
Yeah.
other piece? Did I miss the other piece?
It was, I mean, you kind of touched on both of them at the
Yeah.
same time, which was, you introducing new things and different ways of eating to your family, and then a little bit about switching products, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's beautiful to see how the whole family has kind of embraced what you are there to offer them,
Hmm.
and the like that different things can be tasty because we are so nostalgic and like so attached to certain products, and it's a mindset first where you're already judging it and you haven't even tried it. So good for you for just really, it's not easy to be that person
Hmm.
who's encouraging and who's bringing it up and who's doing all this. And that's one of the things I love about the work that I do, because I know that it goes beyond me, it goes beyond you. Like, it really touches. I was just talking about this today on a podcast. Like, it's really multi-generational. Like, you're helping your
Yeah.
parents, you're helping your nephews, you're helping your son, you're helping your siblings, right?
Hmm.
The impact of doing this work for yourself impacts the family. And the goal is for your nephews, for your son, for you, like, not to have to get to that point where you're having these health scares and then everybody's like, oh shit, we better get our act together. Like, what about if we just start switching that and start feeling good along the way?
Yeah. It's
You
so
know?
true. It's so true. You're so right. You hit it right on the nose. Um, I think it's also a matter of trust.
Yeah.
And when people trust that you're taking things serious, there's this stigma around people who are plus size. The truth is, even when I did lose my most amount of weight, I was still considered plus size.
Yeah.
I was not plus size.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized just how important, sure, dropping these pounds and fitting into certain clothes was fantastic. But what happened with the rest of my health? There was once upon a time I was a lot skinnier and I needed emergency gallbladder surgery. My stress level was so high, I looked physically sick. I was not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anemia was at an all-time high. I was having dizzy spells. I was not eating. And when I was eating horribly. And then I was hurting myself with other things too, and nothing assures that because I am a skinny person that I'm going to be healthy, and vice versa, the other way too, right? And it's really where the knowledge comes from, right? So it's one thing, people, I love it. The triglycerides, when you start learning about these things and you start realizing, oh, why are these numbers high? Oh, okay, I have to pay attention to this now. I have to watch this with myself. When you start understanding that,
Mm-hmm.
and the truth is, I didn't pay attention in school. Nobody sat down and gave me the coaching. I've seen nutritionists. Nutritionists still didn't go over this stuff with me. I've gone to doctors. They still don't sit down and go over with me.
Mm-hmm.
But I learned these things in the coaching with you, and to pay attention to certain numbers.
Yeah.
And coming from a family where both grandparents, both male, my both grandfathers died of heart condition, and they were of a specific, weight. And both grandmothers died of diabetes. Those are things I need to pay attention to and make sure that whether I am gaining pounds or losing them, that those numbers are controlled. Because I can lose all the weight in the world, but that doesn't mean my numbers are controlled if I'm not eating right or if I'm not having the intake that's appropriate for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the part that people need to understand. Like when we sit here and we look at the changes our parents are making, yeah, maybe it took a health scare, but then also you still need to maintain yourself strong. You may be almost 70, but you're still young and you need to maintain yourself healthy and you need to have certain intake. And it's okay to eat this. You're not overdoing it. It's okay to enjoy. That's the other part, the whole thing of oh no tienes que comer pan, go right now. There's a way to do that. There's a way to enjoy that. You know what I mean? But it has a lot to do with your numbers too and the knowledge behind it. And I don't think I would have paid close enough attention to a lot of that. And I want to be transparent too on this. I'm 37. I don't know what my future holds. I don't know if I'm going to end up in a relationship again, if I want to have children or not, or what's going on. But I have also never paid so much close attention to my cycle, to having to go speak to a specialist, to get an egg count, to see where I'm at with that, to understand my hormones and my numbers with my hormones.
Yes,
to pay attention to all these things, because again, that has a lot to do with this coaching that you offer, but also has a lot to do with where I'm evolving into, because that impacts, things are going to happen to us as we get older, but that impacts how we feel, that impacts how we manage it, right? And that's one of the things I took away from you and from doing the coaching with you. I remember when we were doing the coaching, that's when you said, I'm going to go into learning the hormonal and the balances.
Yes,
to look at you now, where you are today, and seeing everything that you know about that. Like, I knew of PCOS. I just never understood how much that impacts a woman's wellness on so many different levels. And so to have that conversation with you, and then to be able to feel comfortable doing research and pay attention to certain things, it's a win in itself, because I don't want to fall short with myself. I don't want to do that to myself again. There's a few people making comments. Yes, we are a little gorditos here, but the levels are good, and that's such a win for me.
Yes, so that's such a great point. Thank you for bringing that up, because your size does not necessarily dictate your health. You can be very thin and you can be very unhealthy. You can be what the BMI or society considers overweight, and you can be so healthy. It's all about what you're doing, what Daisy said. Especially, I love that you brought up to lab work. It's very important to actually, yes, go to your doctor, but also get copies of your lab work. Know what to look for, like for metabolic conditions where your blood sugar and your triglycerides and all these numbers may be a little bit out of whack. It's good to have a baseline where you see the trends of how your numbers are moving. And oftentimes the way lab works is that it gives you a range, and then if something's out of range, then it'll highlight it for you and it'll put it in a different section depending on the lab. However, if doctors are not looking through your lab work thoroughly and they're just looking to see if something got highlighted out of range, then you might be missing very important information as to how your numbers are trending, so that you catch whatever is happening before you get prediabetes, before you get diabetes, before your cholesterol is shooting through the roof, before your hormones are out of whack because you have some sort of vitamin deficiency. So
Right.
these are all things that you can look through, you can get help looking through, you can tell your doctor to sit down and actually read it and explain it to you, because you are at the forefront of your health. It is your responsibility. You are the CEO of your health. Your doctor and everybody else, somebody like myself or any other healer, is just a part of your team. But you know your body best. If you know something's not right and the doctor's telling you that everything's normal within range, then I don't want you to take that for an answer. They're not you, they're not in your body, right? And it's really important to see these trends, to get the copies, to ask them to explain it or to figure it out if you know something's not like going on. And I know oftentimes we like to skip the labs and we like to skip certain things. However, you're doing yourself a disservice, right?
Yep.
CEO of your health. I like that. Yes, you're the CEO of your health. And especially with women, I find that I like that you mentioned the cycle too, because what happens is that they don't pay attention to you and how you're feeling unless you want to get pregnant.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
Yes.
That's
Unless
how the
you want to
question
get
started.
pregnant. Yeah. And it's like,
Question
it doesn't
started.
matter what your body's doing if you don't want to get pregnant. And it's like, wait, my hormones are out of whack. I'm extremely fatigued. My hair is falling out. I don't have energy. Like and it's okay because I don't want to get pregnant. Like, that doesn't make any sense. It's not fair to us. And that's usually how it goes, where a healthy cycle, and it varies for everybody, right? I don't want to give the impression that there's just one way to have a cycle.
Right.
Whatever that is for you should be normal for you, right? So that,
Yes.
and it's not like, oh, I skipped 15 periods. Oh, it's okay. You don't want to get pregnant.
Right. Right. There's more. There's more. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you mean there's more?
Well, I'm saying there's more to it. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's funny because that's exactly how the conversation happened with my doctor. It was, are you trying to get pregnant? Because you're in your 37th year. And it was like, oh,
Geriatric pregnancy.
the geriatric. And it was like, well, no, but. And then I started asking the questions, and I wanted a referral to see a specialist. And then when I said that, it was like, but you're not trying, right? No, I'm not trying, but I want to know. I want to know my options. I want to get testing done. I want to have certain things in place for me to just know. I have a concept now whenever I go to the doctor for whatever reason. And I think this is going to be how I'm going to mic drop this. We are paying how much for co-payments?
Yes,
you
ma'am.
You better make sure that when your doctor is charging you that co-payment and they're billing the amount of time they're billing for that session with you, that you're making every minute count during that session. You sit there and you tell your doctor, hold on, can you check what were my numbers last year? Can we compare it to what they are this time now that I came to get my results? Let's have that conversation. You have the app with your MyChart. pull up your results, make
Yeah.
those comparisons, and you send those messages into those physicians. You make every single penny for what healthcare is today counts for you and for
Yes.
your family, and you make them work. And I am speaking for us from the standpoint in my career. I am in healthcare. I've been an advocate for patients in my community for years. How dare I be an advocate for them and not advocate for myself? And
Mm-hmm.
asking those
Yes.
questions is so important, and making them work to explain it to you, because at the end of the day,
Yes.
they have information in front of them and they know how to explain it, and they should take the time to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of what I'm there. It's one thing to find out if something is wrong, but if nothing is wrong, let's still talk. Let's still have that
Yeah.
moment. Provider to patients, let's
Mm-hmm.
do this. And I wanted to mic drop it on that, because that's exactly what I did this last time that I was there. I asked for the comparison for both me and my son. I wanted to look back and have certain conversations, and we got a new doctor in the place. She was like so happy she was there encountering with us like this, having these conversations. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she was fresh, she was new, she was young, and it was a pleasure having that experience compared to what other years have looked like. But I definitely wanted to not forget to mention that, and make a little
Yeah.
mic drop on that.
I love that. And that's a very good point. If you're in a situation where a doctor's annoyed by your questions, then it's time to find a new doctor. You should
Amen.
be having an experience similar to what Daisy is describing, where you are being heard and they are answering your questions. And now more than ever, it's easier to, I think, get copies of your lab work, not directly to your
Yeah.
doctor. Like if you figure out what lab they're sending it to, you can log in directly into the lab. I know you can do that for Quest Diagnostics for sure, where you can just log in and see the results, as well as like reaching out to your doctor. I also wanted to touch on, because we spoke about weight loss and because we're talking about doctors, and oftentimes if there's something going on with you, and I just spoke with one of my clients about this, that the solution to everything that she was talking to them about was, oh, if you lose weight, that'll go away. If you lose weight, you'll get better. If you lose weight, this. And I just want to
I laugh.
it's funny, right? Like it's comical. So one thing I really want to mention about this, and feel free to chime in, is that gets very dangerous, because then if you're not giving any guidance, you might just go through extremes to try and accomplish that, because the doctor's telling you you just have to lose weight to make X, Y, and Z go away or get better.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you're not losing weight in a smart way, and sometimes that is part of the solution, I'm not going to lie, but if you're not doing it in a smart way, in a mindful way, then you can actually cause yourself more harm than what you're trying to fix in the first place by losing weight. So I want you to question them when they're telling you, it's like, okay, how should I do this? How should I approach this? What are the support systems that there are out here? So that's another one. And I don't know if you've heard about this, Daisy, in healthcare now, but one of my clients, she said that she asked her doctor for a prescription for me, like a prescription for a health coach to help her get better. And then she was able
I
to use her FSH,
Yes,
like flexible
I've heard of that, but
spending.
it does involve specific benefits in your insurance. So
Oh,
I
I
definitely
see.
would encourage. That means she's doing her work, and she asks questions, and she's finding out that's something she could do, because yes, we still have. So this is like the healthcare person talking, right?
Yes,
From a
good.
yes.
Let us
So
know.
if you do have an FSA account, there are certain things depending on your benefits and what your organization would allow in that benefit also, or even with the FSA account. Find out, ask those questions. Like, one of the things that was my pure enjoyment, and a lot of people didn't know, the Peloton, a lot of people did not know you could call your insurance company to see if there was a waiver, so that you don't have to pay the monthly fee for the Peloton for the access of the app. There's so many different things you can call your insurance company and speak with them about these type of benefits. Just like now, and just because we mentioned hormones and getting pregnant, things like that, Now call your insurances about doula, midwifery, all those things. You need to
Yes.
call and find out, because what once upon a time was not even heard of as certain benefits, or even kind of like, those credits that you get in your benefits because you completed this, or you've done this, or you have this, or you incorporate this in your life. It's not happening, or it's been happening, but people are not telling you about it.
Yes,
So
they don't
call,
tell anybody.
they don't tell. So call and find out. Call and speak to someone and find out. It's going to take long. You're going to spend hours there. A lot of the time they just tell you, oh, go to the app. I like apps, don't get me wrong. But sometimes I need to talk to somebody, and I need you to send me what I need. That is part of my benefits, to have that outreach. So call and find out, because I have heard of that with specific benefits and specific organizations too. So call and find out for sure.
I think that's just the cherry on top.
Yeah,
Like that
yeah,
that's just it. Like we've
yeah.
spoken about so much. Is there anything else you would like to share or let anybody know?
Honestly, I'm extremely just proud to have been one of your clients, to be one of your friends, to see how passionate you are with this, and even more prouder that, I don't know if you know this enough, but you have made such an impact. And every day doesn't have to look the same. Every day doesn't have to be perfect. I still have my days where I just want to have a cheese pizza. I still have my days when I want to have a burger. But guess what? I know what I can do all the other days of the week for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel guilty or ashamed anymore. And I'm going to be transparent on that.
Yes,
Because
that's another
the food
topic.
and health coaching, there's so much shame attached to food. There's so much guilt attached to it because of so many deeply rooted things. And I'm just grateful to have been your client, to maintain our friendship, and to know that I can always just turn to you for any question that I have. And I'm grateful for what you're doing for your community. I really am.
Oh, thank you. And I have to thank you first. I there's a fun fact where I gave birth at the hospital where Daisy was working at the time, and she took such good care of me, and I felt so safe there because Daisy was there, and she's in charge of was it patient relations, y'all? So I'm
It
like,
was patient
ooh, as
relations
soon as
there.
Daisy walked in here, everybody's on their toes. I'm like, yes.
It's still the same where I'm at now. It's a different place, and it's still the same. They hear my heels, and they just know,
Yes.
oh, she's coming, and Daisy's there. They hear the heels, so
Oh,
we
so
still
thank you
doing it.
so much for that. I'm gonna say that, and for helping me find my voice because you invited me on your podcast when you first
Yes.
launched it, and I was like, "What is this that I have here? I didn't even know how to use it."
Oh, you
Um,
have it. You have it, and please don't stop. I'm proud of you and your panels, and I'm proud of everything that you're doing. You're doing so much outreach to so many of our community that need to know. They need to know. Like, I'm finding myself strategizing on how to talk to a physician about smoothies and sugar. And I'm over here telling leaders, I have a food and health coach, and I know there's good sugars and fruits, and there's not a problem with us doing smoothies. And I get it. We got to be conscious of sugar, but also there's ways we can do this. And again,
Absolutely.
that's owed to Naomi. So
Oh,
shout out to you, and thank you for creating this space.
yes. Thank you so much, Daisy. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for everybody who watched. If you have comments and you're watching the replay, please drop them here. If you're interested in food and health coaching, I invite you to go ahead and book a consultation. The link is in my bio, and you can reach out to Daisy, I'm sure, and ask for questions.
Yes.
And it's been a pleasure. Have a nice day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.